What's going on, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to another AWMania live. Well, this is the first time we're ever going to be doing this live, to be honest. So, why am I doing this live? I figured it's Wednesday, it's a big week. There's a lot of news coming out, specifically surrounding the potential cancellation of Wrestlemania, which I'm going to get to that in a little bit, and why potentially canceling Wrestlemania will either hurt WWE or maybe could benefit, but it's more or less going to hurt. The only reason I say benefit is in terms of making sure that the fans are healthy and making sure that the fans do not catch the virus that's going around right now. But before I get to WrestleMania 36's potential cancellation, I want to discuss some news that came out today. One being the signing of a new superstar for WWE, and that is in Rob Gronkowski, former NFL football player, former Patriots football player, and former Super Bowl champion. Rob Gronkowski is no stranger to the world of professional wrestling. He made a debut of some sorts at WrestleMania 33, if I'm correct. I believe it was WrestleMania 33, where he made his appearance known by interfering in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal and costing Jinder Mahal that very same Battle Royal that very same night. He's also good friends with Mojo Rawley, who hasn't been seen since losing the 24/7 title to Riddick Moss. I'm not sure if that's going to benefit Rob in terms of his pro wrestling career, and for his sake, I hope Gronk has not teamed up with Mojo Rawley. If they do team up, we need a whole reshape and retool and refocus and new gimmick for Mojo Rawley. I know we tried that earlier last year with him talking in the mirror, the face paint, and all of that, but that didn't end up going anywhere. Didn't even see anything of dominance or anything remotely interesting from Mojo Rawley after his apparent gimmick change. The WWE just squandered him and threw him to the side and gave him the 24/7 title for about a week or two. So hopefully when Gronk comes into the WWE, which he's supposed to be appearing on SmackDown next week, not this week's SmackDown, the following week's SmackDown, hopefully they got some big things planned for him and he's not just going to be used as your typical celebrity coming into the WWE. I'm hoping he spent some time. I know he had spent some time in the Performance Center, so hopefully that has paid off, and hopefully he continues to put that time in the Performance Center to continue improving his in-ring ability. At the same time, keep into consideration the fact that Gronkowski retired from the NFL, had a lot to do with injuries and with concussion syndromes. The last thing you want is for a guy to be coming into pro wrestling and to suffer a concussion, especially in a pro wrestling world where you're working close to 300, if not 365 days a year, and you're putting your body on the line. You're putting your safety and you're putting your health at risk. So for Rob's sake, I hope he's going to take all the necessary protocols when it comes to competing in the ring. I hope he is safe and the WWE takes care of him the way they should. Moving on from that news of Gronkowski signing with WWE, I'm going to be talking about, I want to discuss Matt Hardy's latest video that he released. It's on Matt Hardy Free to Delete. It's on his official YouTube page, where he and the not the Hardy Boys, where he and the Young Bucks continued their series that they continued from the following week, where the Bucks visited the Hardy compound, and Matt Hardy made it clear, please bury me. Why does he need to be buried? Apparently, that's the only way to get Zenith out of him. What is Zenith? That's this dark entity that's been controlling Matt Hardy and been driving him nuts and been forcing him to do things that he doesn't necessarily want to do. And he wants to cleanse his soul. He wants to return to being Matt Hardy, and he wants to get this brokenness out of him. What ends up happening? The Young Bucks super kick Matt Hardy unconscious, put him into a casket, bury him alive, as what was seen a little bit on the Being the Elite video this week on their YouTube series. We got to see glimpses of it, but this was the full story, the full coming and the continuation of what we had seen on Being the Elite the following week. It was funny. It had its moments. You know Matt Hardy. If you're a fan of Matt Hardy's broken gimmick, then you're going to be a fan of what he did, what he's been doing as of late. This is far beyond anything he had done on the WWE Raw programming over the last several weeks, months, and even the last few years since he made his return. This seems more like it's Matt Hardy coming into his own, and it's also Matt Hardy having a good time and having fun. And isn't that what pro wrestling should be about? It should be about enjoying yourself and having a good time and giving an audience a story that we could care about. If I feel that you're committed to your character, if we feel that you're committed to giving us something original and interesting and pushing the boundaries, we're going to be interested in wanting to watch and wanting to participate and be a part of your journey, as opposed to what we see oftentimes on the WWE side of things, where creative is controlling the moves, the way they speak, the dialogue, and all the decisions that are made by the pro wrestlers. AEW has found a way to allow the wrestlers to come into their own, to be themselves when they're in the ring and when they're cutting promos. They even have allowed the wrestlers in terms of coming up with ideas in terms of the matches they want to tell, the stories they want to tell. And that's what it is. You get into the wrestling business because you want to tell a story. You want to do something different and you want to stand out. And you want to also, maybe you're a fan of combative style of fighting, but at the same time, a safer form of combative style of fighting, as opposed to entering in boxing or mixed martial arts, where you're going to get injured, where you could get hurt, and you're putting your life really on the line. Now, I'm not saying that in wrestling you're not. You are on a daily basis, but AEW allows for a lighter schedule and also allows for the guys to take some time in deciding the direction they want to take their characters. And that's why we've seen a lot of freedom in terms of character and gimmicks on the AEW side of things. So that's the two big news tonight. Rob Gronkowski signing with WWE and making his potential debut on SmackDown, as was reported from WrestleZone. That's where I'm getting that news. We'll see if he does appear next week or not. WWE has yet to make an official announcement concerning Rob, so we'll see if that comes to fruition. And tonight's Dynamite. I'm expecting to see Matt Hardy make an appearance. I'm expecting to see the Broken One make an appearance, not the Exalted One. I don't think Matt's going to be playing the Exalted One. That seems a storyline. As much as they're trying to tell the fans he is, and even with the Twitter post and photo and Instagram post of the following week where the letters spelled out Matt Hardy, it just seems it's too simple and it's too obvious. And AEW tends to strain away from the fact that they make things obvious, because they don't. They want to make the fans, they want to surprise the fans as much as they can. So I'm expecting Matt Hardy to make maybe a debut tonight. Maybe he teams up with Hangman Page. Hangman's looking for a partner. Who knows if we're going to see Broken Matt Hardy teaming with Hangman. Who knows if we just see Matt Hardy just appear like that? Maybe a video vignette. Who knows? But I would suspect that we may see an announcement or something concerning Matt Hardy tonight on AEW Dynamite, live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, only on TNT in America and TSN in Canada. So with all of that out of the way, with those two announcements, let's get into WrestleMania 36. For those of you who have heard, or for those of you who are unaware, tomorrow officials are going to be meeting in Tampa Bay to discuss the ongoing concerts and events that will be taking place in the Tampa Bay area over the next couple of months. They're going to be discussing what's next, what protocol should they be taking in terms of protecting the fans and protecting their very people and those within the city. This coronavirus, it's sweeping the world. I don't want to say just sweeping America. It's been taking over the world. You see it on the news. You see it on social media. People are freaking out. People are afraid for their lives because they don't know exactly what's going on. They don't have the necessary right information of what's going on. As much as we try to get as much information on this situation as possible, it seems like there's a lot more negative news towards this as opposed to lighter news. Now, I know you got Elon Musk making a joke of this. You got Donald Trump just being Donald Trump and being like, oh, it's not so bad, even though they've got like 94 cases, if not more, in America of this disease. So tomorrow they're going to be meeting, and you got to take into consideration, I know they're meeting for events that are taking place in Tampa Bay, but guess what's taking place in Tampa Bay in less than a month, on April 5th? It's WWE WrestleMania 36. And WrestleMania 36 is probably going to be their largest event of the year in Florida, in Tampa Bay, at the Raymond James Stadium. It's going to hold over 80,000 people. And I'm not talking 80,000 Americans. All right. WrestleMania is a global phenomenon. There are people coming from all around the world to attend the WrestleMania event. As someone who attended WrestleMania 35 last year, and I'm from Canada, I flew down there to America. I know it's not that far, but I went down to New York, and I got to meet people who came down from England, who came down from Italy, who came all the way down from Saudi Arabia to the majority of Europe, Canada, Arabia, Asia, and all sorts of different places of the world, right? So you have to take into consideration that there's going to be a lot of flights coming into Florida, coming into Tampa Bay over the course of this weekend. And that's going to pose a problem, especially with flights being banned from certain areas of the world, especially in Italy right now, and maybe in certain places of Europe are starting to be much more strict in terms of who gets to come down and who gets to fly from where to who. This is going to pose a problem for WrestleMania 36. Not just the fact that the virus is sweeping. Say WrestleMania 36 goes on. They decide, you know what, WWE, you've got your protocols. We're going to follow through with it. We're going to allow you to go on with it. But take into consideration the flight risk of all these people coming over, right? Men and women and children flying from different parts of the world that have been affected more than the United States of America are flying down now to America. Government officials and government bodies have to take this into consideration. Their main priority should be keeping America safe. And I say America in this context because WrestleMania 36 is taking place in the United States of America. It's taking place in Florida. So they're going to be concerned in terms of bringing in all these tourists. Because now you've not only got WrestleMania 36 taking place on April 5th, you've got the events prior to WrestleMania 36. You've got the ROH event. You've got the TNA, the Impact event. You've got the indie promotions that are putting on their wrestling events throughout the week and throughout the days leading up to WrestleMania. You've got Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and a Hall of Fame event taking place within that very same week. There's a lot that's going on. And even though fans are coming down for WrestleMania 36, there's also a big majority that are not coming down for the WWE pay-per-view. They're coming down for the little indie events. They're coming down for the indie events because it's your one-shop place to get all the events in one location on a 1 week. This is something that's kind of like an expo, a Comic-Con. You're getting all the major wrestling events that you love all in one site, and that's in Tampa Bay. So they're aware of this, and I don't blame them for being cautious and a little afraid over the fact that we're going to be bringing in more people in Tampa Bay than it is necessary at this very moment in time. So what does that mean? That means that they're faced with a task of making a decision. Do we cancel all major events being held in Tampa for the foreseeable future? And I'm not just talking Tampa because eventually it's going to lead to other events taking place over throughout America. We've already seen it with SXW. We've seen it with Coachella. We've seen it. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but we've seen it with a lot, right? And it's only going to get worse if we don't find a vaccine, which we're most likely not going to be able to come up with a vaccine. Let's be realistic. The vaccine is not going to just poof appear. We're looking at close to maybe a year or two before a vaccine is made available. The only possible solution in order to stay healthy and to stay safe is to do what they've been saying. Mind to yourself, keep your hands to yourself, don't put your hands in your mouth, always make sure you're clean, have a good hygiene, be healthy, stay away from people that are sick. If people are sick, make sure you're at a distance. Don't touch the wrestlers, don't touch anybody, or don't do anything just don't do anything out of the norm that you would be doing, right? If you could do that, you'll be safe. And it's hard to do, especially during a pro wrestling week, pro wrestling event, because a lot is going on. We want to touch the wrestlers, want to get autographs, want to get handshakes. We're excited. We're touching all the toys. We're touching all the memorabilia. We're attending all the events, the WWE fan access. We're going around and we're all in a cramped room where someone coughs sometimes, someone sneezes sometimes, and you know how it is. The germs, they end up flowing onto you, or the mucus and etc. spills onto your clothing or onto your face, or when someone talks, sometimes spit flies onto your face. This is all human nature. This happens. You can't start fearing everything that's going on. So with that being said, the question now becomes, are they going to cancel it or are they not? Now, it seems like it seems like they're leaning towards potentially canceling WrestleMania. And I don't want to put fear in the hearts of wrestling fans that WrestleMania may be canceled. A worst case scenario is that WrestleMania goes on in an empty arena, which would be strange. You've got an 80,000 stadium with no one in it and just wrestlers. That would be weird to experience, but other companies such as One Championship have done just that. They put on a mixed martial arts event with no one in the arena. They had the full entrances and everything, and it was a good event. The fights were entertaining. It's just strange not hearing an audience in the background, because when you're watching pro wrestling, there's a story being told, and when you're watching it from home, the story gets taken to the next level by the audience's reaction and response to what's going on in the ring. Take Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, for example. Drew McIntyre picks up the victory and beats Brock Lesnar. You want to have that. You want to hear that fan response where everyone's cheering and going nuts and just chanting, "Let's go, Drew," or "Suplex City." You take that out of it, it's going to make for an interesting dynamic. I can't tell you how it's going to feel, because I've never personally seen an empty arena pro wrestling match outside of the halftime show fight matchup between The Rock and Mick Foley from years past, where they fought in an empty arena. That was interesting, but it was also take this idea with you. That was a hardcore match, so it allowed them the freedom to fight throughout the entire arena. So it didn't necessarily need to have a fan interaction or a fan response. But when you've got matches like Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler, John Cena versus The Fiend, AJ Styles versus The Undertaker, Sami Zayn defending his title, the Kabuki Warriors defending their title, who's that other champion? Andrade defending his title, and the many, many others, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and the Women's Battle Royal. When you've got all of that to take into consideration, a lot of these need to have fan interactions and fan responses in order for it to have the proper appreciation on our end when we're watching at home. I think tomorrow's going to bring an interesting decision and choice. I know Vince, if he had it his way, he'd probably, let's go on with the show. The show must go on, regardless if there's a virus, if there's a hurricane, if there's something. If we can do our best to prevent any of this from affecting our company, they would do their best to make the show go on. So tomorrow's going to pose an interesting. We're going to have our questions answered tomorrow. If it's not by tomorrow, where they're getting together, we'll hear something by the end of at least next week. After 316 week, we're going to have a response as to whether or not WrestleMania does go on or it doesn't. I would fully expect. You know what? I'm fully expecting that it ends up going on without a hitch. Stephanie said it previously that they're taking the necessary precautions, and I think we're going to see WrestleMania. I know I flip-flopped around, but come to think of it, there's a lot lying on this. It's not just WrestleMania. It's the indie shows that are going to be taking place, because then those are going to get canceled. Then the fan accesses get canceled. And these wrestlers make their living based on appearances. They make their living based on wrestling. If this pay-per-view doesn't go on, Brock, Drew, Goldberg, Reigns, Rhea, Ripley, Becky, John, Bray Wyatt, and the rest of the guys, and even the Impact wrestlers and the ROH guys, if all these shows are put on hold and canceled, how are they making their living? Who's going to be paying them? They're not going to be making any money, and that's going to affect their livelihood. Because these guys and girls, they make their money based off what they do in the ring. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. I'm going to do my best, if for those of you who follow me on All Wrestling Mania, or in this case, because I wasn't allowed to have All Wrestling Mania as my Twitter name, for those of you who follow me on All Wrestling Ma1, which is MA1 on Twitter, I'm going to keep you guys updated on guys and girls. Sorry, I'm going to keep you guys and girls updated as to what's going to be going on, as to what comes out from this meeting and conference that they're going to be holding tomorrow in Tampa. If it gets canceled, I'll let you know that it's canceled, but I would expect that they're going to go on without a hitch. Look, we're too close to Mania. For them to suddenly cancel it and to screw over the paying fans and customer and tourists that are flying in, that would be rough. That would be hard, because as someone who flies often and never takes the insurance, I could tell you that would cause a lot of trouble for airline companies. Take that into consideration. A lot of refunds would be given out. You've got 80,000 people attending Mania. Don't even take into consideration just the wrestlers. Take into consideration the fans that are flying in and the hard-earned money that they've already spent on hotels, on the flight, on potential events that they're going to be attending. That's a loss for everybody. And a loss for everybody is not good. And I understand the virus is something serious. But at the end of the day, you can't stop living your life just because a tornado hits. You got to pick yourself up and you've got to find the pieces to put together in order to make things better. And if we all work together in making things better, then all of this panic that we have right now, all of this fear that we have of this virus potentially maybe hitting us and killing us and all of this, which is all ifs, we could be able to work together and we could come through this as a unit, as a team, and as pro wrestling fans, we tend to unite, right? We unite under one umbrella, and that's the fact that we have a passion for this. Sometimes we don't agree, but at the end of the day, we still tune in on each and every single show, whether it be Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT, Impact Wrestling, ROH, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're all tuning in for the very same thing, and that's to have some hard-hitting pro wrestling, some good storytelling, and we all want the best for the business. That's it for today. I just wanted to cover the potential cancellation of WrestleMania. If my thing was a little bit of clickbait, I apologize. I don't want to put any fear in anyone as much, even though there's a lot of fear going on right now. We're going to hear tomorrow what's going to happen, but don't be surprised if WrestleMania 36, live from Tampa Bay, live from the Raymond James Stadium on April 5th, goes on without a hitch. I'm JP. This is All Wrestling Mania, covering as much as we can. I'll see you for AEW Dynamite recap.